Hey everybody, it's Len from Win Column Sports. I am here with some special guests. Some could say the heartbeat of FC Edmonton fandom. Really,
That's a lofty
I'm going
title.
that
That's a
lofty.
lofty title, yeah.
We got Nathan, we've got Adam. The podcast is
The
called
Loyal Company in the River Valley.
Pretty Awesome. A little on the long side, so sit down, grab a beer, grab some popcorn. I'm going to ask the boys a couple questions.
Sure, yeah.
All right, first question. Edmonton, not known as a soccer town. The premature announcement of the death of FC Edmonton brought out all the cynics. The rise of the YEG for CPL silenced the cynics
Hope so.
for now, because the movement led to the return of the Eddies. Please explain your role in the movement.
Sure. Well, going back, I guess, do you want me to? I'm gonna
Yeah, go
jump
ahead.
in when
Go
you want to.
ahead,
But going back to November 24th, somewhere in that range,
Yeah.
when the announcement actually came from Tom Fath. I had the chance to talk to him, and I was at an academy practice actually just over on the rec center on the other side of the big blue stands over there at Commonwealth Rec Center for the academy side. And it was interesting that, press were all out, and I had an opportunity just to kind of quickly ask him and kind of chat with him a little bit about why the first team of FC Edmonton didn't work, folded. The professional side was not going to be playing in 2018. And his big thing was sustainability. He said it wasn't sustainable to be in an American league, it wasn't sustainable to be traveling to wherever it was in the States that they were going to, San
Fort
Francisco.
Lauderdale is not a fun trip.
Puerto Rico, which was almost the longest trip in the world, I think, for a soccer team, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, it just wasn't feasible. And when you're attracting 4,000 fans on average, 3,000 I guess, just over 3,100 I think they had in 2017, it's hard to afford that when you don't have sponsorship. There's no real sponsors. When you're the only team in Canada, no Canadian sponsors care about paying money to put your logo across a jersey when you're playing in the States. There's no attraction to a market that's going to get you money. So it wasn't sustainable. Moving forward from that, about 3 weeks later, it was December 14th, if my memory serves correct, there was about 6 of us that met in a pub, and we decided that soccer in Edmonton wasn't done. We'd heard the rumblings and the kind of the suggestions of the Canadian Premier League joining or starting up in the 2018, potentially 2019 for sure. We said Edmonton has to be in on that. Edmonton has a huge soccer history. The Canadian soccer, the national team supporters started in Edmonton, Voyageurs. We were the home for the national team for years and years and years over at Commonwealth Stadium. This is a massive soccer town, and it's got a ton of history in it. So we wanted to have that represented, so we agreed that something would have to happen. That kind of started to snowball. We had 6 of us at the first meeting, 15 of us at the second meeting, 30-some of us at the third meeting, and then we started the March to CPL, where we just opened it up and said, people who want to see FC Edmonton back, come out, show up. We launched a co-branded beer with Sea Change Brewing. We had the academy come out, the players, to kind of talk about their experiences and why CPL would have been important for them to see Edmonton in that. We also had the alumni come out. We had a coaching night, and we also had the president of the CPL himself, Paul Byrne, come out and talk to a bar full of people, which was just ridiculous. It was so cool.
Yes, yeah, and the goal of it was really to just to make a lot of noise and make sure that we're not happy with soccer dying in the city or at the professional level anyway. So being able to make our voices heard was probably the most gratifying part of the experience, and seeing it grow and create such a positive movement.
Excellent. A lot of people get mad at me because I call it soccer, right? So there are people who call it football.
Yeah.
To me, football is played in Commonwealth. When the call came from the Rally Rabbit, I put down my $50.
Yeah.
Soccer wasn't dying on my watch. If you worked for the Eddies, if you were the ticket monkeys, how would you promote the team?
You start.
Yeah, I'm no marketing guru or any kind of salesperson, but I'd say this is your chance to support a local endeavor, and not something that's just creating a professional team in Edmonton, but it's also giving back to the community, because a lot of these players that are going to suit up next spring are going to be from Edmonton. You've got Jeff Paulus here, who is the technical director of the academy. He was the assistant coach, now he's the head coach of the team. So he's keen on getting a lot of these younger players from Edmonton a spot on that roster on opening day and getting them a lot of minutes as well.
Yeah, for marketing, so I want to go back to what you started that comment with too, in calling it soccer, not football. Yes, it's FC Edmonton, so Football Club of Edmonton, but I don't think anybody really calls it football in our little circle anyways. It's pretty much...
Sometimes it's kind of gets a little split 50-50.
Yeah.
It's funny because their governing body is also called the Canadian Soccer Association.
Yeah,
So
you're not off base with that one.
Yeah.
I'm going to use the baseball
you can
reference.
get away with either. Yeah.
Yeah, soccer is kind of one of those things that the name comes from association soccer. It's kind of derivative, or association football, I should say. So it's a perfectly acceptable way. For marketing, if I was the ticket person, I think I would go after a very different crowd than FC Edmonton has traditionally gone after. Edmonton did exceptionally well in 2017, attracting that minor soccer family crowd. They sold massive amounts of tickets. The big blue stands you can see behind us were filled regularly based on those soccer teams. I think that FC Edmonton, if they're going to be successful in the future, need to go after that really important 18 to 35-year-old demographic, the young professionals. Get them hooked, get them really energized, get them part of the supporters culture, get them loud and engaged. Because then when they start having kids in like 5, 10, 15 years, that's your next generation of fans coming in there, and it's the next group of fans that are going to be able to support the team for 20, 30, 50, 100 years.
Okay. For me, if I were the ticket monkey, I would totally sell the atmosphere. My first game was, and I remember this because the ticket is still on my fridge, July 13th, 2014. It was at Commonwealth. My wife warned me that the atmosphere wouldn't be quite the same.
No.
Right? But I remember, I don't remember who we were playing. I think it was Ottawa we were playing.
Yeah, that sounds right. That was
And a player, and one of their players went down, soccer style, all flailed
very
out.
dramatic, yeah.
And then I don't remember his name, but the dude with the bagpipes
Lance, yeah.
came marching down the stairs playing Amazing Grace.
Yep.
And a fan was born.
Yep.
That, to me, is how I would promote the team.
Yeah. And you nailed it. Like, soccer has an atmosphere unlike any other. And if you haven't seen the game here at Clark, it is considerably better, I think, the atmosphere than it is at Commonwealth.
And it truly is, because it's smaller.
Oh yeah.
And you can't avoid the supporters.
No.
Where sometimes they're a little off, but for the most part, I mean, they're hilarious.
Oh,
right?
thank you.
So,
Yeah.
Now, the city has a lot of soccer snobs, right? I'm looking at people who will watch the World Cup, won't come to an FC Edmonton game. I'm talking about people who will watch the Premier League, people who will watch La Liga, but people who will not come to an FC Edmonton game.
Sure.
How do we get those people to an FC Edmonton
I don't
game?
know. Do we need to get those people? Because I think part of it is they're so set in their ways of watching a certain level of soccer, and if they're fine watching a game on TV, they're not going to come in. The atmosphere isn't for them. Because you nailed it when you said the atmosphere is what the selling point is, and I looked over that when I first was talking there. But yeah, it 100% is. But if one or two of them will listen, I'm fine just saying come out, try a game or two, see how much you like it. It won't be up. Come with the expectations that it's not going to be, your English Premier League game, but it's still a very good level of play if you're willing to shell out the $20 to come to a game and have a couple of brews with guys that love soccer.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. I think that the hardcore Chelsea diehards, or the Arsenal fans, or take your pick of a European team. And we have those people in the supporters group and culture. There's definitely people that, I came to FC Edmonton game in 2010. I feel like I might have been wearing a Chelsea shirt, to be honest with you. I was a Chelsea supporter at that time, and then I saw the local side of it, and I was like, well, I'm never going to be able to afford to go to a Chelsea game in London, so I might as well, support my local team, and it grew, and it grew, and it grew. And that's, I think, what needs to happen, is I think that the club doesn't necessarily need to go after the people that are tied so solidly to the European clubs. They need to go after the people that are interested in the sport and want that outlet. There's a great story, actually, from last year of a guy who's currently in the supporters culture, that he had 2 kids, and they didn't like soccer at all. His name's Dean, and he didn't like soccer at all. They went to a camp. They went to a few games. The kids were distracted, didn't really care. Then they came up with one of the free AMA camps. The dad said, "Yeah, do you guys want to go to this?" He just went and saw them. The kids were like, "Yeah, okay, not a big deal." Got completely immersed into the culture. They met some of the players. They fell in love with a guy named Sean Nicklaw, in particular, an American player who was playing in FC Edmonton for 2017, and they turned into massive fans. Like they exchanged jerseys. Like the kid gave him their youth league jersey, and he gave them a game worn jersey. They had signs that were always promoting Sean Nicklaw, and it was all because FC Edmonton had players on the pitch signing autographs for the fans afterwards. Now, granted, that kid, I think they're like 11, 12, so they're not going to be buying merch and beer and whatnot for a couple more years yet. But that's the generation that FC Edmonton needs to ensure is there in the future. So they can't ignore that minor soccer crowd. They can't worry about it. But if there's people out there that are interested in soccer, whether it's culturally, like there's a number of different cultures, like you were saying to us on the walk over here, you'd be shunned from family dinner if you didn't know what's going on in the World Cup. It's those kind of people that have a awareness of it or a love of the sport, but don't necessarily have a team or don't necessarily have a connection to the game. That I would say come out and try it. I've routinely fallen asleep with games on TV. It's just not interesting to me when I don't have a vested interest in the team that's playing. 90 minutes watching it live goes by in a heartbeat. You get into it, you get excited, you get loud, you get a bit drunk. You just have some fun, and it's a good time, and it's a quality time. And yeah, like Adam said, it's not the highest quality in the world. In all honesty, it's probably going to be a lesser quality than we saw in 2017 in the NASL. But it'll still be a good quality, and it'll be an entertaining quality. And I think that's what people need to remember, and that's why people should come out and give it a chance. I mean, $20, you're going to spend that at Starbucks over a week, right? So put it towards a ticket, come out, try a game. Who knows? Somebody might buy you a beer and have some fun.
I think a lot of people could be surprised with how accessible this club is too. Like, it's completely unrelated to like Oilers, Eskimos. You're down at field level with these guys. You're seeing them play and you're hearing them talk on the field. And then the club's been great about opening up the field and having players do autograph sessions right after the games too. So these players, they're not just heading off to some locker room ignoring the crowd after they're done on the pitch. They're still there with you.
Yeah, and I remember when I started watching, we had the Eddie Edwards of the Edmonton Eddies. I mean, what better fit? And I remember going home and going on Twitter, finding him on Twitter, and we followed back. And so yes,
it's one of those things that like you guys are both saying, like the club is extraordinarily approachable. What other professional sports club in the world, I don't care what sport it is, would have a fan announce its head coach for the first time in a new league? What other club would have give the identity, the crest and the colors and the whole thing to a group of supporters who they know are going out to get drunk and then march down White Ave letting off blue smoke bombs? What other club in the world would have that as the announcement and the show of joining a new league with a new crest and a new identity? I would say there's very few, if any. And I know that announcing a coach is completely unheard of. That's just something that you don't get a fan announcing a coach ever.
It's always done with someone wearing a suit and tie.
Yeah, I was not wearing a suit and tie that day.
For me, the new Canadian Premier League means fan buses to Calgary. Right? That has me absolutely excited. Describe the excitement about now being able to host a podcast about a soccer version of the Battle of Alberta.
It's already happened.
Yeah, we've kind of dubbed it the Al Clasico based on the El Clasico of Real Madrid and Barcelona in Spain. But yeah, Dallas and there's another fan in Calgary. That's Sean that's running Foot Soldiers. Their supporters group down there. There's a big part of it anyway. They kind of schemed up over a few beers this idea, and the clubs actually ran with it, and they did a home and away already early this year with the Calgary Foothills PDL side against FC Edmonton's Academy.
Are the rumors true that we had more fans than they did?
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't even close. We had more fans than they did in Calgary. So
yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, like we had over 3,000 here, and maybe I don't even know if they had 300 down there.
Oh, not even. And for supporters, I can only speak for what I saw in the beer garden because there was a whole bunch of parents and whatnot around there. But in the beer garden, we had 20 people chanting, screaming, again, lighting off blue smoke bombs, and they had 6. So, Yeah, they got a long ways to come in Calgary. It's okay. They can look up here for inspiration both on the pitch and off. We'll show them the way.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. Yeah, no, it's going to be a great experience. The Battle of Alberta is just phenomenal. There's nothing like it in Alberta, nothing like it in Canadian sports, in my opinion.
It's really the best rivalry in this country, I think.
Yeah, and that's coming from
We're
someone
all a
who's,
little biased.
from
Yeah.
Saskatchewan. Yeah, so.
Well,
So-
we'll forgive you for that.
Well, he's supporting Edmonton now, right? But no, it's a situation where I think that we will have not just one bus, but we'll have numerous buses going down. I know that things are going to be really kicking up in terms of supporter culture in Edmonton in the next 3 weeks to 4 weeks.
yeah, let's say a month.
Yeah, I would say check our Twitter account on September 1st-ish, and you'll start to get a bit more direction into where that's going. But yeah, it's going to be kicking off. We're really going to be starting to get people out to events and really working on developing that culture, I think.
Yeah.
And we're psyched. It's one of those situations. It's unlike anything that's ever been done before, in my opinion. There's been supporter groups in Edmonton before. They've failed for a variety of reasons, or they've suffered or struggled for a variety of reasons. I think that this is a group that's come together and who's been a part of that conversation for going on almost a decade.
Yeah.
They've learned the hard lessons, and now they're willing to take a step back and put those lessons into practice and kind of readdress some of that stuff.
Yeah, and it's not just facing Calgary.
Yeah.
It's exciting either.
No.
It's about even like just going to other cities in this country. Like we've never had that opportunity before, outside of some Canadian Championship games.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a great opportunity to check out new cities in this country for us. Go into other cities, invade their stadiums, drink their beer. Yeah, it's going to be a fun experience live, and especially in Calgary, which I'm hearing the president of the league wants that to kick off the league.
And that
Edmonton,
makes
Calgary.
a lot of sense.
Yeah, it'll be something. I mean, I don't know how Calgary's going to do. They've got a bit of a weird state, and this one's nice and centralized, and it's not ideal, granted, but theirs is way south of the city, so in Spruce Meadows. So we'll see how it goes. But I'm excited to go down. I'm psyched, and I'll be going down no matter what for every single Calgary game. That's for sure.
For sure. That's 100% of the excitement behind
Yeah.
this, right? As it was noticed so many times on Twitter, the Calgary trip is much more affordable than the Fort Lauderdale trip. So,
The only other trip that I'm aware of that anybody else, actually there's a couple trips that we've seen FC Edmonton supporters done, and this is going on 7-8 years. We had one person go to Ottawa, I know for sure. We've done Vancouver a few times, and then the only other one that I'm aware of was one to San Francisco.
Yeah.
So I think that, and that was maybe 5-6 people.
Yeah.
So I think that moving forward, seeing 50, 100 people going down to Calgary, having our own little big section really, and really kind of kicking off there would be fantastic. I mean, 100 people, that's getting on a solid percentage of the stadium, really. So.
excellent. Nathan, Adam, one more plug of your podcast.
Absolutely, it's the Loyal Company of the River Valley. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Loyal Company RV. Yeah, thanks so much for having us on.
You can also find us on Google,
Oh, yeah.
iTunes, all the podcast places.
Yeah, for sure.
Excellent. Thank you very kindly.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Len.